Hello everyone, my name is Thiago. Today is July 31st, 2026, and I'm going to present here my current project that I'm working. This is the plan for August. So this is basically a dungeon combat simulation system. Also something that you can use for content design and the creature concept and sprite sheet pipeline. It has deterministic runs where you can scrub, you can create batches and balance. This is a follow-up project, basically a branch of my soccer engine. Most of the ideas here I tried to port to this new project. So this is the old soccer game engine. So you can basically play soccer, and then you have this scrubber where you can go back, then you can see what is wrong. You have determinism here, so basically all the match are deterministic, the gameplay. So I'm doing something similar here for this project. So I'm going to just demo quickly so you can play the game, but this instead of soccer, this is for dungeon crawlers, right? So you can see here, I can speed up. This is pretty similar to the soccer engine. The difference is that it's for dungeon crawlers, so action RPG focused. And you can go back, right, and analyze frame by frame the gameplay. So this is basically a way to check the gameplay, what's wrong. You can check frame by frame, and then you can measure results, and then you can keep improving, similar to the soccer game engine. The idea of this video is just a quick overview. So I'm going to show the parts of this project that has been built. So it also contains the scenario lab. It's also similar to soccer, where you can just play some predefined scenarios. And let me just play. So you can check how the engine is working in certain, how can I say, situations, right? Yeah, so it's also similar to the hunt simulation, but this is focused only in certain aspects. This is similar to the soccer engine as well. So for example, I have the scenario lab where I have pre-built, predefined the scenarios, right? Kickoff, for example. The idea is the same. Let me go back here. Other than that, we have the Sprite Manager here. So here is something new. So I was not happy with the soccer game, and then I tried to, actually this is where this engine started, this project started. So I tried to build something that I can just create creature concepts in batch. Please note that this is using AI, right? And there's a lot of debates about using AI, so you need to be careful when using this for real projects, commercial projects, right? I put so this is the project on GitHub. I'm going to put a link in the description, but it's basically Hiretsu Hunt Design Lab. And I put a disclaimer here somewhere about using images. Let me see here. But yeah, so the project itself is Meet, right? The license for the code, but we have some exceptions here. So AI generate the media content, so you should read this about the generate the images, and also when generate images with Google Anti-Gravity or Grok build. Yeah, be careful when using commercial projects. The current situation is really unclear. There are many debates around this, but yeah, so this is how I'm doing this for the Sprite Manager. So the idea was that I could basically click here and I would define some variables and then hit run batch and it would create some images. I'm going to just, so I could select the model for example, Gemini 3.6 Flash High or Grok, right? I'm going to run here, click one run, one round here just to demo. So it shows the logs here, what's happening. I'm going to close this screen, but you can see like the last image was this one here. We had 192 images in RPG Fantasy. Soon there will be more. Let me see if I already created. Not yet, not yet. Anyway, let me go back. I'm going to keep this tab opened and I'm going to keep demoing the engine here. So let me go and show the Hunt editor. So here is like something that is for creating hunts. So in this engine you can create several types of hunts. We have fixed hunts, we have a procedural, and we have also waves. Let me see if I can show some example. I know that, for example, for this test arena is one wave one, so the layout is fixed. No, oh, sorry. Let me try to find, okay, standard arena wave. So yeah, this one is the wave one. So you can define the wave lists. For example, for the first wave, we have spiders, we have snake, cave rat, and so on. And then we have for the second wave, we can define the creatures, for example, skeleton, 4 creatures, spider, tree, and creature, bug, and so on. And then we have also the fixed layout where you just select a profile. I'm going to also show this. This is another item in the week. We defined the layouts and we have a procedural, right? This one is procedural. Let me see if there's some other procedural with more rules here because some are really simple. Yeah, this one procedural as well. Well, we have the profile ID. I need to also check. This is the another. Anyway, I think I'm not going to extend too much, but the idea is that we have the possibility to create hunts um, in several ways, including fixed layout, procedural, waves, and so on. Right? Then let me go to the designer tab. So the designer is what I was talking about. Let me start with the dungeons, right? So we can define dungeons layouts here. We have some pieces. This is one is procedural, right? So you can specify some actions, some ideas to generate the cave. This one, yeah, is fixed layout. Then we have the test arena. That's this one is for it's used for waves. And then we have a small variation for this. We have populations. Populations are used for procedural dungeons. So for example, I have a catalog of dwarves, also cave rats. So in a cave of rats, which creatures are going to spawn? Yeah, this is for procedural as well. Have markers. We have those piece packs here to build hunts or dungeons, right? So you can define pieces of what's going to compose the dungeon. Those big ones are like, okay, I'm going to do just one piece for the arena and that is it. But for example, this one, you can define several pieces to create the dungeon in a procedural way. Other than that, we have art sets. For example, for a cave, I can define the tiles that I'm going to use for a cave dungeon. This part here I can just define, but it's not working really nicely because having several different tiles at this stage is producing noisy results. So the visual is like how can I say, there's a lot of pollution. So I prefer like simple sets where we have just a couple of tiles and that is it. Also, we can define base profiles. For example, the idea here is that I want to simulate how a dungeon would work, would perform uh, for a certain type of player, for example, low level or mid level or high level, and with some equipment. So we can define several profiles to test a hunt, right? Then we can define also parties for the simulation, because when you go here and you can select the party. When you select a party, the members of the parties are going to be listed here, and then you can enable, disable those members and simulate a hunt. Yeah. Let me go back to the designer. We can edit spells. I'm going to show here. So basically, this is based on some popular 2D MMO RPG, right? The base engine. So, but I try to clean. It's not complete. It's just for reference. The goal here is not to reproduce the game one to one. It's just to have something working where we can play with the idea of balancing a game or creating concepts and try to see how is the process of designing dungeons and this kind of stuff. So I decided to use um, this other game as a base. The ideas, general ideas, I don't really know. We do not have access to their source code. All we have our feelings, like, okay, I think this spell here feels like this way, so this is not something that, okay, this is like work exactly like the official source. But yeah, let me show. So you can also select areas, predefine the areas for a spell, and you can edit the spell like this. So you define, for example, hit chance, the minimum level to be used, the mana, and so on. You have classes, right? So for example, for a class, which spells they can use, the yeah, something here related to skill power curve, the number, what they gain per level, the base HP, and so on. Also, we have equipments. So this is where you can create, edit, update, and delete equipment. But there's also a separate screen where we show equipment and creatures. So for you can create here. Note that I'm using JSON format, and then this is a JSON editor. So you can, add properties, or when you are creating, you can remove properties, change values here, and so on. We have strategies. The strategy here are used by the AI. So for example, you have a player, a profile, a hunt actually, where you can assign the strategy, how the player is going to behave in that hunt. Is the player going to focus in single target or AoE and the hunt like this or like that? Is the player going to aggro mobs or not? And then we have the strategy here. This is not well developed. I still need to improve this, but this is already working. Everybody can download the project. The project is here. You basically can run npm install. There are instructions. Npm install. Yeah, here. npm run build. Then there is a script to generate. This build is going to generate all the sprites variation, but then you need to regen the tiles, and then you can run npm run dev. Oh, talking about this, let me check the sprite editor here. So this was the last one that we have 192. Now let me refresh the page. Okay, now we have more, so you can see that more sprites have been generated. I have also integrated this with a sprite editor. So for example, you can edit this here. There's a sprite editor. If there's, for example, sometimes the AI generates a picture with a text, and then you want to remove the text. So there's this sprite editor here. Also note that there are these green things here. So if I want to remove those greens, I can go here and click here, select, and I click fix green, and now we have this here. So yeah, so we have some kind of aura. Yeah, the sprite editor is another project that I put here. I add documentation on how to integrate the sprite editor. Yeah, so basically, let me also show here. So it has several features. Maybe I should demo in another video, but for example, you can use the symmetry if you are editing. For example, then it draws like this in all positions, but this is not the focus of this presentation. Let me close. As you can see, the sprites have been generated. It has generated the 16 sprites. So the idea is that you can create sprites in batch, right? And let me continue with the presentation. You have creatures where you can define the creature, the custom sprite that the creature is using. You can define the amount of HP, the creature stats. This treat DPS is generated automatically by a script. So there, the AI is going to check, measure the creature attacks, and then it's going to do this, generate some values here. The level of the creature is also generated automatically. And we have the creatures page, where it also has some integration with the batch, the sprite builder. For example, if a creature I do not like the sprite, I can click, select a few creatures, and then I can click, where's the button here? I need to find, actions, smart update sprite. And then when I click here, it's going to call that batch processor and generate sprites with AI. Again, check the doc about the disclaimer. But yeah, this, and then those creatures are going to have their sprites replaced with something nicer. And yeah, so you can replace existing creatures. This page you can list the creatures statuses and resistances and so on. You have also the option to show a table, right? Data table where you can search. You can order by level or HP or whatever. We have a similar page for equipments. Yeah, so basically you can show the equipments. You can also replace the sprites. And in the designer, for example, when you have a base profile, you can select equipments, and then for example I can click here and select one equipment. So this is the general idea, the presentation that I want to show. So the idea is that this month, August, I'm going to keep talking about this engine. Yeah, this is not something that, I'm planning to do an MMO, or this is no, this is more a tool where you can run, measure, fix, and yeah, try to improve. So this experience is more like in game design field for hunts. And yeah, I hope everybody can enjoy this. And yeah, see you there. Bye.